guys, and welcome back to the channel, Let Her Create, where I'm sharing with you tips, tricks, and things that I've learned along the way. And in today's video, fortunately, gladly, happily, I am back with another Affinity Designer tutorial. It took me some time to actually get it filmed, edited, and to determine if I wanted to do a voiceover or not, because I am a one and none kind of person. As you can tell from some of my videos, I don't even bother to edit out the mistakes that I make, just because I try and it's not always effective for me. But I digress. Today's video was actually prompted by the fact that I needed to update the calendars in my digital store, and I decided I would show you a quick and easy way to get that done, depending on if you sell planners, calendars, or if you even print some, or if you're new, or whatever it is that you do. This video is mainly for beginners or people who are like new to Affinity Designer and things like that, or new to selling their digital designs. It's really great for them, or for people who are at an intermediate level maybe and are transitioning over to their iPad. I don't know, but that's where I am at, and I think this is a great system to have. I learned it for another program that I have, which is Affinity Publisher. But if you don't have Affinity Publisher, because I do have a computer as well, I'm just not all the way tethered to it. I'm more tethered to my iPad per se, I guess, because it's a little easier for me to bring to and from different places that I go throughout the day. So I just brought certain concepts from Publisher to Affinity and thought it would be really great. So the way this system works is, for your calendars, you're only creating a grid base. You don't need to do any of your designs in this calendar. You don't need to do any decorating yet. This is just your grid base, kind of like your template. Every day of the week is going to start on a first of the week. I know that sounds really crazy, because you're like, yeah, there are 7 days in a week. But you're going to make your system based off of that concept. So your first artboard is going to be with your first day of the month, starting on that first square. So let's just get into it with setting up the document first. So first we're going to click New Document, and I'm going to switch it from device to print. And that is going to take care of the dimensions for me. That is going to change the orientation. That is going to change everything on the right side of the page. So I won't have to be worried with that. But I want this to be on a letter size piece of paper, because the output is intentioned for print, for people to print at home. It automatically changed it to inches. And it set the color mode at RGB 8. Now, you don't have to change this. I do, because this is tailored for printing. And I'm also going to change the orientation of the document so it comes out horizontally versus traditional. And I'm going to also select Create Artboard, and I'm going to click OK. And while it's populating the document, there is the first one. Now, I'm not worrying about adding my artboards yet, because that part is going to come later. Right now, all I'm doing is setting up kind of how I want the calendar to look. I'm not so much worried about where the placement of the month is going to go, because this is just my template. I'll be able to take this and change the size, the fonts, and whatever, and do other things that I like to it later. And I am now going to select the rectangle tool, and I'm going to click on the screen, and it's just going to make whatever size rectangle that I drew out. So because I've done this so much, I pretty much know that I like my document set up with a 1.4 inch by 1.4 inch square, and I'm going to lock that in place. You can change those parameters if you like. Figure out which ones work best for you, but this is what I like for my calendars because I like to write on the margins. I like to have room on the side. I like to do whatever with my calendars. So I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to duplicate that until I have a total of 7 boxes. 5, 6, and 7. And see how everything kind of fits snugly onto that one, or in that page that week fits. So I like to have a group, so I'm going to group those. And the reason why I'm grouping it is because I'm just going to make sure I have enough space to fit on all of the calendar. So week 1, week 2. I give myself 5 weeks, so that's pretty much 35 days in the calendar. And then sometimes it just depends. I will add an extra week if that's the design scheme that I'm going for. But I'm just going to keep it simple for this tutorial. So now I have all of the weeks together, and I'm going to group them again. And that is just the grid. Okay. So if you want, you can change the layer or the group name to the grid. So now what I'm going to do is go and get my text frame tool. Now to get that text frame tool, you're going to hold until you get the option to select something else. And you can tell when you have other features, because there will be a little dot in the corner. So I'm just going to pick standard font. I'm going to go with Avenir. I'm going to change my font size to 17, and I'm going to type 1. So I'm not going to worry about other settings because in the typography menu, you have more options. So here is where you can change the alignment. You can keep it left aligned, you can center align it, or you can right align it. You can change the positioning of your character. And I like that baseline at -4.1. This isn't doing much. It's actually not doing anything, the leading. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. So now that I have my one text box, I'm going to delete that because I just don't want to have a stray mark on my document. So now that I have week, or the first, I'm going to duplicate my text box 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so now I have my 1 through 7. And because you kind of know these numbers aren't changing, you can go ahead and enter your 1 through 7 for the week. That is supposed to be 7. All right. And there you have it. So now all of the numbers, the numbers are placed. let's see if I can still work on some of the positioning, because now that I'm looking at it, it's a little too close to that line for me. So let's go to the transform, and we'll change the width of the box to 1.3. There. All right. So because I don't want it so close to the edge, there, that is gonna be how I alter, or how I change that. So all right, I like everything that's going on with my numbers. I am going to duplicate, and I'm also going to hold the screen. As you can see by the blue spot on the left side of the screen, that is where I'm holding it at. So there you have it. You have an entire like calendar 1 done, and that is pretty much how your document is going to be set up. Now, mind you, week 2 is going to change because it's going to be the 8th through the 15th, and so on and so forth. But the best part is, after you're all said and done, you will have 7 of these calendars that you can edit independently of one another. So here's where, when you're ready to add your other artboards, you can. And so it's only 7 artboards. Oh. And so we're going to come off of the artboard tool. We're going to hit copy and paste. And paste. Paste. Okay. So, I know what you do when you are at the other days of the month and you don't need all of the dates. You don't need them to have anything in them. So in the case of this box, I don't need anything in there. So I'm just going to turn off the box. I'm going to turn off the fill. I'm going to turn off the stroke to everything that's in that box, because I don't want to take it out. And the reason why is because I may need it. I know you're like, what? What do you mean? You know nothing's going to go in the box. But I may want to individually type in there. I may want to change the color. I may want to do a myriad of things with the box. And so I don't want to have to worry about starting all over with those text frames when I don't have to. $13. Right. Uh-oh. So my text box moved. It looks like. Hmm. So, yeah, my text box kind of moved. And that means if it moved here, then it's moved in other places, potentially. So, I'm just going to turn off my magnetics for a minute. Oh, man. All right. There we go. And yeah, so when I copied this, so from that original move, that was messed up. Um, but that's okay, because I'm just going to go and fix it in the original one. All right. Here we go. Okay. So we can go back to magnetics, artboards. All right. So we have our seven artboards again. All right. So we're going to copy and then paste and paste and paste, paste. So I think you can kind of see where this is going. So you're just going to take off each of the days that you don't need. Now I know you're like, well, what about 28 days? What about the 30 days? How am I going to get rid of those dates? Just like I showed you before, you're just going to turn off the outline. That way, all of your hard work is not lost, and you can turn that box on when you need it. And just turn that box off and turn the box. Have to make sure it's selected. Okay, and turn the box off. And you have a calendar with 1 through 31 days. All right. So I'm not going to force you to watch me to finish all of the rest of the calendars. In fact, by the magic of editing, when I come back, you will see a fully edited calendar. So, all right, guys, I am back through the magic of editing. You can see what I have essentially ended up doing with all of the calendars, which is setting it up, finalizing the design. But I started with my each day of the week calendars. And by the number of my artboards, as you can tell, this is obviously a different document. One I did for filming, and then the other one I was doing while I was working on it. I color coded where the first was because I ended up needing 6 rows, but that gives you 42 it gives you 42 spots on the grid, and you don't need a lot of that space. But I like my boxes to be all the same size. I like them to all fit the same, even if I don't need that extra week on some of the days. Like, I think depending on, just the overlap here from calendar 1, and so the first starts on a Saturday. So the first starts on a Sunday. I do Monday start calendars because I like my weekend to be side by side. So I went over to my Sunday start and I just copied that calendar, and then I resized it to what I needed. And then February, I went over to my Wednesday start and I collected it, and then I just turned off the spaces that I didn't need. I just turned off the fill in the stroke. Those boxes are still there. That text frame is still there. I can still go in and type in it and turn it into something if I need to and or want to. But having my initial grid set up in this way helps, and it saves so much time in the long run. The longest part is the initial setup, but once you kind of have your direction, you know what you're doing, it is easy to just have everything set up the way you need it to go, have your color palette picked out, have the layout set up for how you want your calendar or your planner to look, and then you're just literally copying and pasting, dragging and dropping, or exporting to PNG files, and then importing the calendar in for your needs. Now, if you guys have any questions, comments, or if you missed something, because I'm going to include some of the footage where I did a lot of the editing and was doing the numbers, but it's too much to kind of just keep hammering out information. So if you have a question, you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I really enjoy engaging with everyone who leaves a comment on my content. If you are liking the content that you're getting, please don't hesitate to like the content, subscribe. Likes are free, they don't cost you anything, and it is greatly appreciated. Any interactions that I'm getting from the content on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope this calendar grid hack helps you in your digital planning and digital content creation, or digital stickers or Etsy shop, or whatever it is that you're doing digitally. I hope this helps you and you are able to start hammering out 5 to 7 year calendars like it's nobody's business. Until the next time, bye.